Isaiah 43:2-16 declares, "The power and sovereignty of God is the one who makes a way where there seems to be none." The verse recalls the mighty act of dividing the Red Sea, allowing Israel to cross safely while their enemies were defeated. This serves as a reminder that God specializes in doing the impossible. God's authority over creation. He commands the seas and the forces of nature, proving that nothing is beyond his control. Deliverance in impossible situations. Just as he delivered Israel from Egypt, he can rescue his people from any hopeless circumstance today. Faith in God's power. Believers are called to trust God even when the situation looks impossible, because he can create new paths in the wilderness and rivers in the desert. Ultimately, this verse is a powerful assurance that God is not limited by human obstacles. His power opens doors, breaks barriers, and turns impossibilities into testimonies of his greatness. For those who trust him, there is always a way forward even in the most overwhelming challenges. Do you want me to expand this into a longer reflection for a YouTube script? Create 10 powerful titles inspired by this passage, or make a short, impactful version for social media. Isaiah 43:2-16 reveals a profound truth about the nature of God. He is the one who makes a way where there is no way. The verse recalls the miraculous event of the Red Sea, where God divided the waters so that Israel could escape from the oppression of Egypt. This historical moment is not just a story from the past. It serves as a powerful reminder that God is the same today and continues to act in the lives of those who trust him. God's sovereignty and unlimited power. God is not constrained by natural laws or human limitations. The sea, which represents chaos and impossibility, obeys his voice. When everything around us seems closed and there is no logical way forward, God demonstrates that he can create a path in the most unexpected places. His authority over creation assures us that nothing is too difficult for him. Deliverance in the midst of hopelessness. For the people of Israel, the Red Sea was a symbol of death and defeat. Ahead was an ocean, behind them an army ready to destroy them. It was an impossible situation, but God transformed that moment of despair into one of the greatest acts of deliverance in history. In the same way, our biggest obstacles can become the stage for God's greatest miracle. What looks like the end may, in fact, be the beginning of a new chapter, a call to faith and trust. This passage invites us to believe in God's power, even when circumstances seem contrary to our expectations. Faith is not ignoring reality, but trusting that God is greater than reality. He is the one who opens paths in the wilderness and brings rivers to dry places. When doors close and solutions seem non-existent, God reminds us, "I am doing something new. Can you not perceive it?" God has promised to help us through any trial that we may face. In fact, he has promised that he will fight our battles for us if we just trust him. As followers of Christ, I want us to notice here is that God said he would restore their fortunes and have mercy on them. But we need to remember that these are just opinions and they don't define our reality. Only God knows what we are capable of. It's important not to let other people's opinions hold us back. But then something happened that caused me to change my mind. For example, when I decided to start making YouTube videos, but then something happened that caused me to change my mind. I'm sure that you have experienced similar moments in your own life. I encourage you to think about a time when you felt like giving up on a goal or a dream, but then something happened that caused you to change your mind. What was that experience? How did it affect you? How did it change your perspective? Share your story in the comments below. I thought that I would never be successful at it. No matter what anyone else says or does, never give up on yourself. Never stop believing in yourself. Don't ever let anyone tell you that you can't do something that you want to do. You are capable of achieving great things. You are strong. You are smart. You are creative, and you are kind. Her words of encouragement inspired me to keep trying and to believe in myself. And that is when I realized that I shouldn't give up on my dream of becoming a YouTuber. Instead, we should focus on our goals and work hard to achieve them. Sometimes we might face challenges and setbacks, but we must not lose heart. When I decided to start a blog, I thought that I wasn't a good enough writer to be successful. I thought that my writing was boring, and that no one would read my blog posts. But then one day a stranger left a comment on my blog post. She told me that she found my writing to be honest and refreshing, and that she appreciated my unique perspective. Her words of encouragement inspired me to keep trying and to believe in myself. And that is when I realized that I shouldn't give up on my dream of becoming a blogger. We should keep trying and believing in ourselves, because we never know what we might accomplish. There are so many possibilities and opportunities out there that we might miss if we give up to His. God is full of compassion, and He wants to bless His people. When they are going through hard times, I couldn't help but think of all the times in my own life when I felt like giving up. Maybe you can relate to this. You have a goal or a dream that you really want to achieve, but it seems so far out of reach that it doesn't even feel worth trying anymore. But then something happens. Maybe you read a book, or listen to a podcast episode, or watch a YouTube video, or maybe a friend or family member shares some words of encouragement with you. Whatever it is, you are reminded that you are stronger than you think and that you can achieve more than you believe is possible. That's when you realize that you shouldn't give up. He wants to lift them up and help them succeed. Sometimes God allows us to go through difficult situations so that we can learn to depend on Him and trust in His promises. These experiences can help us grow in our faith and become stronger because we learn to rely on God instead of ourselves. Through these trials, we discover the truth of God's words and realize that He is always there for us, ready to help us and guide us. We have the opportunity to put our faith in action by praying for those who are going through hard times. We can pray for God to help them through their problems, for strength to endure, and for wisdom to make good decisions. We should also be ready to lend a helping hand when someone is in need. Sometimes people need more than just our prayers. They need someone to listen, someone to talk to, and someone to help them practically. Where God had miraculously delivered them from slavery and was now leading them through the wilderness to their promised land. This means that God will always be faithful to His promises to these people and their descendant. No matter what happens, God will not break His word. God's covenant with Israel was an everlasting covenant. It was a covenant that would never be broken. The covenant was based on God's character and nature. It was anchored by God's promises. Even though Israel sometimes broke their part of the covenant, God didn't break His part. He remained faithful to His promises. This gives us hope that no matter what happens in our lives, we can trust in God's promises because He is faithful. But they weren't there yet, and they were still facing many obstacles, including their angry Egyptian oppressors, who were now chasing after them. To top it off, God told Moses that He was going to lead them to a place where they would have to fight against the Canaanites and the other nations living in the promised land. And so the Israelites began to grumble against Moses, complaining that they would be better off back in Egypt as slaves than to face such a fate. Yet deep down inside, even when everyone tells you that you can't, you still believe that you could. You know, like when you're about to graduate from college with honors, despite having started out barely passing your classes. Say to the children of Israel, "Thus says the Lord, do not be afraid, for I am with you. I will fight your battles for you. For thus says the Lord, if I establish my covenant day and night, says the offspring of David, His offspring, for kingly authority and justice, He will establish His offspring in David's days, and there shall be none to offend them or to harm them in all their territory. Thus says the Lord, if I may not establish day and night in their fixed order, so shall not the offspring of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, for I will restore their fortunes and will have mercy on them. But somehow by the grace of God, you made it. Or when you thought you would never get married, and then suddenly you met someone who not only loved you for you, but who also wanted to spend the rest of their life with you. Or when you thought you couldn't have children, and then one day you held your newborn child in your hands for the first time. Well, today we're going to look at a Bible passage that talks about what happens when God opens impossible paths for us. Imagine being surrounded by all of your worst enemies, facing certain capture. So God spoke to Moses, saying, as Christians, we need to remember that God is always with us, no matter how bad things get. The next thing I want us to notice here is God has promised to establish His covenant with the offspring of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And finally, the last thing, we live in a world where people often tell us that we can't do something, that we should give up, that we shouldn't even try. When reading this passage, in fact, there are many times in my own life when I thought I couldn't do something. Here's another example. These are just 2 examples of times in my own life when I thought I could undo something. I want to end with this, and if you want to hear more encouraging messages like this, then make sure to subscribe to our channel. We upload new videos every week,